Are young Australians going sour on some social media, in particular Instagram? A secret memo prepared for Facebook executives back in March shows that Australian teenagers are posting less content and spending less time on the app than they were in 2020. And they're switching off faster than their British, American and French counterparts. Executive Director of the Menzies Research Centre, Nick Cater, has written at length about the threat posed by two young Australians by big tech. He joins me now from Yamba in New South Wales. Nick, thank you for your time. It's a really critical issue. A lot of early, easy appeal for Instagram and Facebook when they first made their way into people's lives. They brought us together, made it easy to stay in contact. But demonstrably, they're making people less happy. We know that. More anxious, particularly young girls, more polarised. So what's happened?
There's a lot of evidence, Peter, that access to social media, access to the internet through smartphones is really problematic for teenagers and is causing a lot of distress, as we know. And the revolution, really, if you want to call it that, occurred about 10 years ago when the smartphone started to, become cheap enough for children and teenagers to have it. And that's changed their internet behaviour from, sitting around the family computer perhaps or laptop to doing, a private experience, which means that really, in terms of the dangers that are on the internet from cyberbullying, which we know about, exposure to inappropriate content, the most dangerous place for a child these days is possibly in their own room when they're exposed to the smartphone and mediated through just two tech companies, Google and Apple.
You've done some research at the Menzies Research Centre looking at online safety. What can you tell us?
What we found is that the parents need and want apps that will enable them to monitor and control the online environment of their children and teenagers. But it's very hard to get that because both of the two companies that control that, Google and Apple, are reluctant to give away their proprietary software. So you get this ridiculous situation where it's easier for a business to control the internet use of one of its staff than it is for a parent to control the internet consumption and internet environment which their children are on. And this is clearly problematic, and we're arguing that the government should use competition legislation to make sure that is corrected, because otherwise you're just essentially leaving your children at the mercy of Google and Apple. It's like they're babysitting for you, and you have to trust their age-appropriate apps and so forth. And the ACCC has found that they're not very good at that.
And look, of course, we know that a lot of the product they uses a lot of the same mental addictive content that they use on poker machines to get people, the adrenaline hits, dopamine hits, that they're designed for that. And of course, it's not just a smartphone. I know plenty of parents that are concerned about kids gaming online. There's a back end now in a lot of electronic games, and the kids are having real-time conversation with adult gamers that most parents would be horrified about.
Yeah, well, the ACCC found there were 176 casino apps or apps that mimic gambling behaviour available to children over 4. I mean, that's clearly not appropriate and clearly wrong and can lead to all sorts of problems. There's also teen meet and chat channel apps that are available to people of a young age, and so I think the bottom line is we can't trust Google and Apple to regulate this. Parents are the best point of control, and they need all the tools they can get, which are there available in the iOS system and in the Android system. They need to have those tools made available to app developers so that they can have the right means to monitor their children's activity.
Can't stress it enough. Nick Cater, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.